Hello again. This is Satan's Trilogy. I'm reading from Book 3, Chapter 3, and this is reading 89. I am the author and the narrator. Sit back, relax, and let the story unfold. This was a special day, and Esther was ready to start it right with the perfect breakfast. Reaching the kitchen, Esther opened the refrigerator door and checked on the food prepared the night before. All was well. Breakfast could be whipped up in as little as 12 minutes. Day was up, too. Esther heard her going into the bathroom. Certain familiar sounds that day created on the way told Esther that it was her. Starting her morning routine, Esther went back to the bedroom and logged onto her computer to do her morning correspondence and to learn what had happened in the world in the last 12 hours. Esther heard Dave flush the toilet, which was amazingly the softest flushing toilet Esther had ever used. Quickly finishing her morning routine on the computer, Esther went back to the living room, finding Day on the sofa with her legs pulled under her and a blanket wrapped around her. They knew that Esther would be returning to the living room for her morning exercise, and she was ready to watch. Smiling at Day, Esther commented, "You know me so well." Esther laughed and added, "This kata is called the High Mountain Point Battle." High Mountain Point Battle. Day looked slightly lost on the title, so Esther decided to explain. The entire kata is done from a single point, such as the top of a mountain. As attackers will come to you at your one position, Esther's explanation were usually short, accurate, and not repeated or explained. As usual, Day understood what Esther had said and was excited to watch Esther perform her exercise. Esther bowed towards the center bedroom where her master instructor's photo was hung. She then moved her left foot back and started to throw strikes and kicks at a fast pace. Her movements were a fast blur and hard to follow. They had learned months earlier to watch Esther's face and not her arms and leg movements. Esther drew her hands together and again bowed towards her master's photo. "Day," said Esther. "What did you just witness?" Esther stood in the same spot and didn't move. Her breathing had only slightly elevated. Day smiled at Esther. "You did the kata twice. With each kata, you had a dozen kill strikes, mixed inside of nearly 100 hand strikes and nearly 60 leg strikes." Day smiled, not because of her having correctly answered the question, but because she was proud of her sister's performance. They understood that Esther was a precision killing machine. Esther smiled and spoke to Day. "You are correct. You saw the entire kata and didn't miss anything." Esther leaned forward just a bit as she said, "This was very important, and you did well." Day smiled and relaxed into the large stuffed chair. Esther kissed Day on the cheek and spoke quickly as she turned. "The morning's breakfast will be one for champions." Esther turned to Day and said, "Make no mistake about this. We will all be champions before this day is over." Esther smiled at Day and moved on to the kitchen. Day grinned. She knew that Esther was never wrong. This would be a glorious day. Jumping up, Day asked, "Can I help you with breakfast?" Esther was slightly surprised at the offer, Day never wanted to help in cooking. She preferred to watch and eat. Yes, Esther quickly said. This will be fun. Day quickly joined Esther behind the kitchen counter and watched as Esther pulled dishes out of the refrigerator. With 6 large selections before her, Day looked on in absolute amazement. Esther smiled. Please pull out 3 of the largest skillets we have in the drawer in front of you. Day quickly placed them on top of the stove while Esther, working alongside of her, filled each with a prepared dish from the day before. As the skillets heated, Day could smell the wonderful aromas. Esther glanced at Day. All right, you wanted to help, so please keep each dish turned over so that it will not burn. I will be back in 5 minutes. Esther ran off towards her morning shower. As Day stood at the oven in complete horror, Day studied the 3 skillets and desperately called out for her sister. Esther, I think I need some instructions here. Esther was gone, and Day heard her turning on the shower. Glancing at the stove and the utensils about it, Day grabbed a spatula and started to stir the 3 ingredients of the skillets. Never having felt this uneasy, Day kept focused on the 3 skillets. Rice was in the largest pan, oatmeal in a slightly smaller skillet, and what appeared to be sliced bananas in a yet smaller skillet. Focusing, Day kept each skillet stirred so it would not burn. Suddenly, Esther's hand reached over Day's and took the spatula as she whispered, Everything looks great. You did well. Esther gave Day a kiss on her cheek and asked, Will you now pull out 3 bowls from the cupboard behind us? Day was relieved to have Esther back in the kitchen and assuming the cooking duties. Opening the cupboard door, she grabbed the bowls and placed them by the stove on the countertop. Now that Esther was back, Day realized that she had done well. Some pride took hold of her. At home, her father did the cooking. They knew little about preparing meals in a kitchen. This had been her introduction. As Esther filled the bowls directly from the skillets, everyone in the house appeared as if perfect timing for breakfast had been magically synchronized. Aunt Brandy came out of her bedroom, looking wide awake, and the 5 classmates appeared from the other end of the apartment. Esther smiled at everyone and said, Good morning. Esther smiled at everyone with tremendous delight. Having the chance to feed so many people thrilled her. She quickly commented, This is wonderful. Breakfast is ready. If anyone needs to visit the bathroom, I suggest you hurry. And as quickly as everyone appeared, they also vanished. Turning to Day, Esther said, Well, I guess we have maybe 3 or 4 minutes to finish setting the table. Esther giggled to herself slightly, then grabbed 2 of the bowls and placed them on the table. Day followed with the 3rd bowl. Terry came back first, then Aunt Brandy came back, followed by Caitlin, Sasha, Rita, and Amy was last. Everyone had found a place at the table. Esther and Day sat down and, while everyone was chatting about a half-dozen topics, Esther said, Breakfast is served, as she grabbed a bowl of rice and passed it to Sasha on her left. As the plates filled, the girls started to sample the food and were enthusiastic with everything. Everyone offered compliments to Esther for the wonderful meal. Amy said, Now I understand why you want to be a chef. You are an artist with food. And Brandy quickly commented, Amy, you are so right. Esther is an artist with food. That is a perfect way to describing her talent. Esther smiled happily and responded, Thank you for the compliment. Cooking is a bit like artistry. I love creating wonderful meals." Esther then added, "This breakfast is going to give us all a boost towards the end of the race. I guarantee it." Everyone enjoyed the food, then lazily remained at the table chatting about various boys, school, and what would come after graduation. It was early, and there was no rush. They didn't have to be at school to board the bus until 9, over 2 hours away. So the chatting went on and on until someone asked Esther about John. Standing at the sink, Esther was loading the dishwasher and chuckled at the question. "John," said Esther, "is my big brother. He watches over me." Smiling, Esther added, "I think John would do well in life." Looking at Caitlin, Esther added, "The school has given us all an opportunity to really accomplish something with our lives." Esther went back to stacking dishes in the dishwasher as she made her final comment. "I know what I want in life, and that is what I am working for." Day quickly jumped in with her own comment. "I focused on boys at one time, but with the school scholarship, I now focus on becoming a doctor." Day looked around the table and said, "I have always wanted to be a pediatrician. The only thing that can stop me now is myself, and I don't plan on that happening." Esther sat down at the table. "We can all choose a life that we want now." Esther smiled as she looked about. Does anyone here not have a dream of a life they would like to make for themselves? It took a few moments, but one at a time the girls spoke up. Caitlin started, "I have always wanted to be a teacher." She then added, "Little kids, like 5 and 6 years old." Sasha pulled her legs up under her, then said, "I love the Travel Channel. I think traveling the world and showing people different cultures would be fantastic. I'm not certain what job that would be. Perhaps I could work while I travel." Rita turned towards Esther and said, "When I was 10, I had to go into a hospital for pneumonia. I remember several nurses that seemed like angels." Rita smiled. "I always wanted to be a nurse in a children's ward." The girls had gone around the table. Terry remained quiet for a moment. "I have never told anyone this." Terry paused and mustered some courage. "I like plants. I guess that I would like to be a botanist. If I could find a new plant and name it, that would be so awesome." Day spoke up quickly. "That really would be cool, Terry." Terry blushed and turned to Amy, the last to share her dreams. "I have always wanted to be a tattoo artist," said Amy. "But after seeing Esther's dragon, my goal is to be a great tattoo artist. I want to give people tattoos that everyone will love." Amy stopped, then added, "Hope to find an art school that can help me reach my goals." Amy and all of the girls turned to Esther. She was truly the last to share her goals. Smiling at everyone, Esther began, "You all have wonderful goals. Finding work that you love will make life rewarding. I want to become a great chef. I don't need to work in a restaurant, but I want to be able to create wonderful meals for people and guests that they'll talk about for months, if not years." Esther smiled. "If I can do that, then I'll have reached my goal." Day spoke up. "Looks like we have an hour and a half to dress and get to the school." Esther grinned. The table had already been cleared and the girls were just killing time. "Let's shake a leg then." Esther laughed as she jumped up and ran to the bathroom. The girls for a split second watched, and then Day yelled out, "That is a challenge." And she jumped up and ran for the hallway. Quickly, everyone followed, laughing as they rushed to the bathroom, tossing their clothes off as they went. Esther was already in the shower with her hair lathered. Amy had somehow managed to get ahead of Day and was second to the shower. All 7 girls entered the shower within seconds. Amy had already washed most of Esther's back. Terry had never bothered to look at Esther's back before and was quickly in awe of the dragon. "May I touch your dragon?" asked Terry. "I think it will be good luck." Quickly, all the girls asked the same. Esther said, "The dragon has been good to me. Perhaps touching it for luck is a good idea." As Esther walked out of the shower, each girl ran her hand down Esther's back. Within a minute or two, they were all standing in front of the bathroom mirror, drying their hair. Esther had 7 hair dryers and 7 towels for them, so that no one was at a disadvantage in getting ready for the race. The girls all looked young, and each was beautiful in her own way. Their ethnic diversity was apparent. At least it would be to anyone but them. They were enjoying each other's company, the warmth of the hair dryers blowing air in all directions, and they were all chattering about their hair. Caitlin wondered if she could put her hair into a French braid, and Sasha was wishing her hair was longer, perhaps like Caitlin's. Amy announced that her hair was too dry. Rita quickly spoke up and said that her hair was becoming dry too. Esther put her hair dryer down, opened a drawer, and pulled out 2 tubes of hair conditioner. Handing the conditioner to each girl, Esther smiled and said, "Try this." She smiled as they took the tubes. "Winter can be hard on long hair. Put some in your hands and then rub it into your hair. I will be surprised if you don't love it." The girls thanked Esther and followed her advice. They looked at her sister, not a bit surprised that she had a solution for the 2 girls. "Esther, I want your advice, please." They looked a bit serious. "I would love to win today, or at least do my very best. What should I do?" Esther studied her sister's face for a moment and then spoke. "Don't wear any makeup. This will eliminate the risk of it getting into your eyes and hurting your vision. Pull your hair back into a ponytail, but not tight. Have your ankles taped and tie your shoes tight." Dave was listening closely. "Anything else?" Esther said, "I suggest for all of us to run the race the entire length at our fastest pace. Don't allow anyone else to set a slow pace. We need to run hard and to quickly wear down the competition. They will fall back, and then we will need to reach deep inside to finish running as fast as we started." Esther had been talking as everyone was dressing for the race. Having finished tying her shoes, Esther said, "Our last run at school showed the entire class was now within a second or 2 of each other." Esther paused and added, "I want to see Grant High runners beat all the competitors. If we challenge each other to do that, then we are all winners." Smiling, Esther said, "Ready?" Caitlin stood up and repeated the word, "Ready." Sasha and Rita in unison said, "Ready." Dave said, "All right, I am ready." Then Amy stood up and said, "This semester has been the greatest time of my life. I am ready." The girls had all dressed into their running shoes, Gothic jerseys, and shorts. Each jersey differed slightly. The girls had all chosen different themes. Ravens, skulls, bones, and Gothic scroll art were some of the choices that they had made. Without their makeup and with their hair pulled back into French braids and or ponytails, they all looked slightly younger, though still very attractive. Esther headed for the door while grabbing her sports bag. All the girls grabbed a bag that held a few essentials, plus their running shoes. Nike had bet on the girls' PE class to be a winning team and had supplied their top line of cross-country running shoes for the entire class. The shoes with 6 embedded cleats would help to give them stability and traction on the cross-country trail. Esther checked the hallway on the monitor, then opened the door, letting everyone out. Taking a final look at the apartment, as she usually did. Esther studied the rooms and listened to Aunt Brandy in the shower, then closed the door as she joined the others. On the eastern side of the school, Day pulled the Cadillac Escalade into the teacher's parking lot. They had been given permission to park there on this one day. The bus was parked alongside the school's east entrance, but it was not a school bus. The Chicago Agency for Travel had caught wind of the Grant High girls' story and had leased a super interstate travel bus so that the girls could ride together to the competition instead of in two school buses. It appeared that at least half of the class was already there, judging by the number of cars. The girls filed out, grabbing their bags and waiting alongside of the Escalade for each other, then walked towards the school together. Each girl appeared to have gained greater confidence and was showing every bit of it, thought Esther as they all entered the school. Standing in the school stairwell, Ms. Strong was smiling, though she looked very excited, and one might even wonder if this was due to nerves. Seeing Esther and the other 6 girls enter the doorway, Miss Strong raised her voice and said, "All right, girls, we all are here now. Let's discuss just a few things before leaving." Everyone quickly stopped their personal conversations and turned their attention to Miss Strong. "Girls," she looked about for a moment, "this is the most exciting day of my life." Miss Strong paused. "I love working with students, and all of you have excelled above my wildest expectations. I am so proud of each and every one of you that I have trouble explaining it." As she spoke, she started to shine with pride. That was very obvious to all. I think that this entire class can break some records today, and so some friends of mine have offered to help. Miss Strong turned to 6 women that had just arrived from outside. "I want you all to meet my 6 best friends. They went through college with me, and they are all athletic coaches at 6 major universities." Having quickly indicated her friends to the back right of her, Ms. Strong continued, "A key part of guaranteeing your success today is to have everyone's ankles taped so that no one twists an ankle while running the course. So during the bus trip, we are going to tape everyone and tie your shoes so that there is no chance that any of you will have ankle injuries." The door opened at the side of the building. A large man wearing a bus driver's uniform, solid blue pants and shirt, spoke to Ms. Strong. "Ma'am, need to leave now to arrive with some time to spare for you." Ms. Strong yelled out, "Girls, let's load up." And that's going to be the end of reading 89. Hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, be safe and take care. Thank you for listening.